Of tech, there will be a lot of matriculant learners who are logged onto their phones today because the results of the matric examinations are being released, at least for the private schools today, and then for the rest of the country's schools tomorrow. So as you can imagine, there'll be a lot of emotion going through their minds and their hearts, and especially families who will be there to try and support them through this, I guess, traumatic experience. Whether you're successful or not, it is bound to be traumatic. And so that's why this morning we've asked our very favorite Ms. Kim Abrams, family therapist and registered social worker, to join us to help us deal with that emotion of disappointment should things not go that way. That's what we're focusing on today, and we'd love to hear from you as well. So hit us up on social media and let us know. Maybe you have some certain coping strategies that you've employed that have helped you go along very well with that. So let's first, Kim, start off by understanding the mix of emotions that is involved during that experience of disappointment. I'm sure that expectation versus reality is one of them, the clash between that.
Absolutely. So, you know, we can even think as adults, when you don't kind of get your goal, you don't achieve your goal, or something happens that you weren't expecting to happen, you feel really downtrodden. You feel as though your self-esteem is just in the gutter. So, you know, and children are not immune from experiencing the same emotions. And they don't have the kind of life skills and coping strategies that we learn as adults to be able to deal with their disappointment. So, you know, kids really suffer from really low self-esteem and their self-confidence, you know, just it's really negatively impacted.
I like that you mentioned that, because it's like looking at yourself in the mirror and then questioning whether, am I worthy? Does this mean I'm unworthy of the world or the work that I've put in over the past 12 years? Does it all mean nothing? I wanted to go and study medicine, but I didn't get the right mark in this particular subject, or even worse than that. So that is a true, I think it's a hard-hitting thing. So when we try and then find the positivity in disappointment, can anything positive be learned from disappointment?
Absolutely. I think this is where children can really learn resilience. So, you know, disappointment is part of life, and I think parents often want to save their children from it and not experience, you know, all the kind of emotions that goes with it. But children have to go through it, and they have to learn to build up their resilience. So it's a tough one, you know, when you have a goal, you know, you want to go to a certain college or you didn't pass matric. These are things that are going to impact children, and we need to be supportive for them.
So let's speak about the parental role then. From an external point of view, as a parent, how can you help your child deal with disappointment in a positive way?
So it's easier said than done, but try not to rescue them from this. They need to go through the motions. So
stand by and watch? How?
You don't have to kind of just do it in silence, but what you need to do is try to open a dialogue with them, allow them to talk. Try your best to avoid statements like, don't worry, everything will be okay, or don't, you know, just leave it, we'll try again. Get your child to talk about their feelings, and then also try to encourage them on what they think they can do better next time. So it's about solution-focused communication. Because that allows your child to then rely on their own internal tools to learn how to deal with life's disappointments, as opposed to leaning on you as a parent to rescue them from it. So there's a fine balance between wanting to save them, wanting to appease them, and also just letting them go through it. It's a life experience they have to go through, and if we think of as ourselves as adults, we don't always get what we want. Solution finding, I think that's brilliant advice over there. So then from an internal perspective, if we were to speak to the children now and to say to them, this is how you then develop those tools that you need to have for later on in life, taking this situation right now and carving those tools out. What do you do from an internal perspective? How do you deal with disappointment in a positive way? So it's really about naming your feelings, being able to say, I'm feeling really disappointed, I'm feeling really sad, because with disappointment comes a whole host of feelings, sometimes anger. The most important thing to remember from an internal perspective is that there's no such thing as a bad emotion. There's no such thing as a bad feeling. Every feeling is valid and every feeling needs to be felt, but it's what your child does with that feeling that will teach them how to build resilience as they become adults. So encourage the expression of the emotion, so name it, but also then, like I said before, encourage your child to think about why are they feeling that way. So you're feeling angry.
Feeling sad. Why? Because the results didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to turn out. But why does that make you sad? And then
then they need to name it. They have to name it, because through naming it, you kind of lessen the negative effect that the disappointment has on the child. Yeah.
Brilliant advice. Kim Abrams, we're going to ask you to stay with us for a little while longer. And to those of you who are receiving their results today, we wish you all of the best. And remember that, yes, positivity can be drawn from disappointment, especially at this very vital time in your lives. But if you have any questions regarding this topic, do hit us up on Expresso Morning Show SABC3. That's our Facebook page. We'd love to connect with you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
On what's coming up in the next 10 years, let's quickly focus on the now, especially with the focus on our matriculants who will be receiving their results today and tomorrow. And that's why earlier on we invited family therapist and registered social worker Kim Abrams to talk to us about how to handle disappointment in a positive kind of way. And we talked about very many strategies that can be employed in order to do that. And I want to just quickly focus for a moment, because this is a very important topic. In a broader sense, talking about how handling disappointment, or the way in which you deal with disappointment, how that can impact your future.
So the way that we deal with disappointment is usually a coping strategy that you learn when you're a child. So you primarily adopt the strategies that your caregivers use, and then you internalize that and you think, okay, that's what I'm going to do, because you learn what you live. But as you become older, and if you haven't learned ways to express your emotions in a healthy way, you can often, if you think of an adult that you know who often takes out their feelings on other people when they don't get their way, that's usually something that children can be kind of predisposed to if they're not taught really healthy ways to kind of express their feelings and to go through the motions. So it has a ripple effect on your relationships, on your self-esteem, and also just the way that you kind of achieve goals in life. You know, life is, it is a journey, it's a cliche, but it's true, and you have to go through the motions, you have to go through disappointment, because it often allows you to go through a new experience that could actually be better for you.
Yeah, very true. And I think it's worth saying that though this may seem like the most important day in your life, believe me, there will be tougher challenges to come in the future. So the way in which you deal with this, whether it's in a good result, you've got all the distinctions you've ever wanted, how you deal with the achievement of that, or the disappointment that maybe you didn't pass well enough to get entry into university that you wanted might want to go to. Dealing with this will determine a lot about your future. So earlier on we spoke about the importance of being able to name those emotions and allowing yourself to go through them, which is the healthy way of dealing with disappointment. What are the don'ts? What are the unhealthy ways of dealing with it?
So the big don't is don't dismiss it. So it's really important to feel the feeling and don't fight the feeling. So if you're feeling disappointed, if you're feeling angry about it, that's okay. Go through that, because the minute you start suppressing it and you start shutting it down and saying, ach, it's fine, you know, other people have it worse, or, you know, it doesn't matter, you really kind of minimize the experience that you're going through, and that's not helpful. Sometimes we think it's helpful to say, it's okay, you know, never mind, but actually it's important to think, I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and it's okay, so what can I do better next time, perhaps setting new goals for myself, because like you said earlier, there are going to be new disappointments in life. Life is unpredictable, and this isn't, you know, if you haven't passed your matric results or you haven't gotten into the institution that you want to, it's really not the end of the world. Perhaps there is something better out there for you to achieve, and that's a nice way to kind of think about it when you're setting new goals for yourself.
And for parents who are now helping their children deal with this disappointment, I mean, I don't want parents out there to feel bad like they are in the wrong by wanting to protect their children, because I'm sure it's a natural parental instinct, but do allow them to go through it.
Absolutely. Try your best, like I said earlier, to not rescue them from it. Let them talk about their emotions. Also, try not to feed into the negative feelings that they have about themselves. So, you know, if your child's saying, you know, I really didn't do very well, and then you go ahead and say, yeah, you really didn't do very well.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, because that's the last thing your child needs. Even though there might be actually truth in that. Perhaps your child didn't work very hard and they know that, but you're not going to help them to do better by making them feel worse about it. So just be very mindful as a parent that you kind of zip your lip and let them talk, and then say to them, well, what do you think we can do differently?
Let's
It's what
set
we
new
can do
goals.
differently, yeah. Not necessarily you, but we, because they are still children, they're still young, and they need to learn, and they're going to learn through you as a parent.
Yeah, and great to know that they have your support there through every step of the way. Kim, thank you very much.
Oh,
Great
you're
to have you
welcome.
back with us again, and Happy New Year to
You too,
Some
thank you.
fantastic advice, and to
Yeah.
you as a matric learner, and to you as a parent or a caregiver of a student out there. Good luck during the next 2 days. It's going to be a very exciting time in
Yeah.
whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
And if you are looking for more assistance in the conversation that we had, you can visit Kim on her website, kimabrams.com. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.